My name is Ethan Carter, and if you had met me a year ago, you probably would have walked right past me without noticing. Morning, Ethan, my manager shouted as I unlocked the coffee shop. Morning, I answered, forcing a smile. You look exhausted again. I'll sleep when my bills stop chasing me. He laughed. Good luck with that. I laughed too, but it wasn't funny. Every morning started the same way. I worked at the coffee shop until afternoon, then rushed across town for my evening warehouse shift. Rent kept climbing, groceries kept getting expensive, and somehow my paycheck always disappeared before the month ended. After my shift, I checked my phone. Ryan had sent 3 messages. Ryan, still alive? Ryan, don't tell me you're working again. Ryan, answer before I call the police. I smiled and called him. You finally remembered your best friend, Ryan said dramatically. I've been busy. You've been working yourself into an early grave. I like eating. You could also try living. I'll think about it. No, you won't. He knew me too well. That evening, after finishing my warehouse shift, I stopped by Emma's apartment. She opened the door with a grin. My favorite brother. I'm your only brother. Exactly. She hugged me before stepping aside. You look tired. I am. You skipped dinner again? Maybe. Ethan, what? You can't survive on coffee. I work at a coffee shop. It's free. She rolled her eyes. Sit down. I obeyed. She placed a bowl of homemade pasta in front of me. You don't have to keep feeding me. And you don't have to pretend you're okay. I'm fine. She crossed her arms. That's your favorite lie. I looked away. I'm just trying to stay ahead. You've been trying for years. I know. When are you going to let someone help you? I don't need help. You need rest. Before I could answer, my phone rang. Unknown number. I ignored it. Emma raised an eyebrow. Could have been important. If it's important, they'll call again. They didn't. The next afternoon, rain covered the city. I finished my shift and hurried toward the bus stop. My shoes slipped on the wet sidewalk. Oh, someone grabbed my arm before I hit the ground. Careful. I looked up. The woman standing in front of me smiled softly. She wore a simple beige coat, dark jeans, and white sneakers. Nothing about her clothes suggested money, yet everything looked effortlessly elegant. You okay? She asked. I think my pride is injured. She laughed. That's easier to heal than a broken arm. I appreciate the rescue. No problem. I noticed coffee splashed across her sleeve. I'm sorry. For what? My fall ruined your coffee. She glanced at the stain. I've survived worse. I still owe you another one. You don't owe me anything. I insist. She studied me for a moment. You're serious. I am. Then buy me coffee. I blinked. I work at a coffee shop. Perfect. We walked together. Inside, I handed her a fresh cup. What do I call my hero? I asked. She smiled. Victoria. I'm Ethan. Nice to meet you, Ethan. You too. She looked around the small shop. You like working here? I like paying rent. That's not what I asked. I chuckled. No, but it's honest work. She nodded slowly. I respect that. Something about the way she said it felt genuine. No pity. No judgment. Just respect. It had been a long time since someone looked at me like that. I had no idea that simple conversation was about to change everything in my life. Victoria wrapped both hands around the warm cup and smiled. This coffee tastes better than expensive coffee. I laughed. That's because it's made by an overworked employee. Or because someone made it honestly. I shrugged. Maybe. She tilted her head. Do you always joke when you're tired? It keeps people from worrying. So you hide behind smiles. Sometimes. I used to know someone like that. What happened? They forgot how to trust anyone. Her answer caught me off guard. I'm sorry. Don't be. Everyone carries something. We talked until my break ended. I should get back to work, I said. Then I'll leave. She stood. Will I see you again? I hope so. She smiled. I'll take that as an invitation. The next afternoon she returned. Then the day after that. Soon, seeing Victoria became the best part of every shift. One evening she asked, "Can we walk for a while?" Sure. We wandered through a quiet park. She looked at families laughing together before speaking. Ethan, can I ask something strange? You can ask anything. If someone offered you millions of dollars to leave the person you loved, what would you do? I frowned. I'd refuse. Even if you stayed poor forever, money can't replace the right person. She looked down. You answered quickly. I didn't need time. She smiled, but sadness filled her eyes. A black car stopped beside us. A woman stepped out wearing a navy business suit. Miss Hayes, she said quietly, your meeting starts in 20 minutes. Victoria sighed. I know. The woman glanced at me. You must be Ethan. I am. I'm Olivia Brooks. She shook my hand politely. Nice to meet you. You too. Olivia looked at Victoria. We're already late. Victoria nodded. I'll call you later, Ethan. I'll be waiting. She left with Olivia. I watched the car disappear. The next morning, Ryan met me outside the shop. So, who's the beautiful woman? You saw us? The whole neighborhood saw you. We're just getting to know each other. Ryan folded his arms. She seems perfect. She is kind. Too kind. What does that mean? It means life doesn't hand out fairy tales. I laughed. You're impossible. I'm careful. I trust her. You barely know her. I know how she makes me feel. Ryan sighed. I hope I'm wrong. That evening, Emma noticed my smile before I said a word. Someone's happy. Is it obvious? Very. I told her everything. She listened quietly. When I finished, she smiled. I've never heard you talk about anyone like this. She's different. Then don't let fear ruin it. I'm not afraid. She squeezed my shoulder. Good. Just remember to protect your heart. Days turned into weeks. Victoria and I laughed more, talked longer, and grew closer. Still, little things bothered me. Sometimes she answered private calls and walked away before speaking. Sometimes expensive cars collected her. Sometimes Olivia watched us with an expression I couldn't understand. One night I asked, Is everything okay? Victoria forced a smile. Yes. You hesitated. I'm just dealing with work. You can tell me anything. She reached for my hand. I know. I believed her. As I walked home, I smiled at the future waiting for us. I never imagined that every conversation, every question, and every coincidence had already become part of a hidden test I never agreed to take. 3 months passed faster than I expected. Victoria became the first person I wanted to see every morning and the last voice I wanted to hear every night. One evening she smiled and asked, Do you trust me? I laughed. Enough to answer before knowing the question. Good. She reached in her purse and placed an envelope on the table. What is it? Open it. Inside was a cashier's check for $50,000. I stared at it. Victoria, why? Take it. I can't. Why not? It isn't mine. You've been struggling for years. I know. This could change your life. I don't want your money. She folded her arms. Don't you trust me? I trust you. Then accept it. I pushed the envelope back. I love spending time with you. I don't love your wallet. For several seconds, she simply looked at me. Then she smiled. I hoped you'd say that. I frowned. Hoped. Nothing. She changed the subject so quickly that I let it go. A week later, she called while I was stocking shelves at the warehouse. Ethan, her voice shook. Victoria, what's wrong? I think someone is following me. My heart pounded. Where are you? Near Riverside Park. I'm coming. I dropped everything and ran outside. After 20 breathless minutes, I reached the park. Victoria. She turned toward me. I'm here. I looked around. Where's the man? What man? The one following you. She blinked. Oh, he left. I caught my breath. Are you okay? She nodded. I am now. Without thinking, I hugged her. You scared me. I'm sorry. She held me tightly before whispering. You really came. Of course I came. You didn't even ask questions. I thought you needed me. I did. Later that night, Ryan called. You missed poker night. I had an emergency. What happened? Victoria thought someone was following her. Thought. There wasn't anyone. Ryan stayed quiet. Doesn't that seem strange? People panic. Maybe. You don't believe me. I believe you're in love. I am. And love sometimes makes people ignore warning signs. I sighed. You sound like Emma. The smart genes skipped me, but I still notice things. The next afternoon, Victoria introduced me to a tall man wearing an expensive gray suit. "Ethan," she said, "this is Daniel Foster." He smiled confidently. "I've heard a lot about you. I hope good things." "Mostly." His handshake felt firm, almost competitive. "I'm Victoria's business partner." "Nice to meet you." He studied me for a second. "So you're the man who refuses expensive gifts." I looked at Victoria. "You told him." She smiled nervously. "It came up." Daniel chuckled. "That's rare. I don't think love should have a price." He nodded slowly. "Interesting answer." Before I could respond, Victoria slipped her hand into mine. "Let's have lunch." As we walked away, I noticed Daniel watching us with an unreadable expression. Something about him made me uncomfortable. Still, I ignored the feeling. I trusted Victoria more than my own instincts, and I believed anyone she trusted deserved the same chance. I had no idea that every strange question, every unexpected situation, and every new face entering my life was quietly pushing me toward a moment that would destroy everything I believed about love. 2 days after meeting Daniel, I stopped at a bookstore before work. As I reached for a novel, a woman beside me smiled. "You have good taste." "I hope so." "I'm Grace." "Ethan." She glanced at me carefully. "You know Victoria Hayes, don't you?" I frowned. "Yes." "Be careful." "What do you mean?" She lowered her voice. "Not everything around her is what it seems." I stepped back. "If this is a joke, it isn't funny." "I'm serious. I don't listen to rumors." "I'm not spreading rumors." "Then why are you talking to me?" "Because someone should." I shook my head. "I trust Victoria." Grace sighed. "I expected that answer." She handed me a business card. "If you ever want the truth, call me." I slipped the card into my pocket without looking at it. "I won't need it." "We'll see." I walked away, annoyed that a complete stranger thought she understood my relationship. That evening, Victoria looked unusually quiet. "Long day?" I asked. She nodded. "Can I ask another strange question?" I smiled. "I'm getting used to them. If everyone believed you stole company money, but I could save your reputation only by leaving you, what would you want me to do?" I stared at her. "I'd want you to believe me. And if nobody else did, I wouldn't care." "Why?" "Because your trust would be enough." She looked away. "I wish trust were that simple." "It is." She forced a smile, but something in her eyes frightened me. The next afternoon, Daniel called. "Ethan, can you meet me? I need a favor." "What kind of favor?" "I'll explain when you arrive." I hesitated, then agreed. He welcomed me into a conference room. "I need you to deliver these financial files to Victoria." "That's all?" "That's all." I picked up the folder. Minutes later, I entered Victoria's office. Before I could speak, several executives rushed inside. One of them shouted, "There he is." I froze. "What?" Another pointed at the folder in my hands. "Those missing documents." Victoria looked at me with disbelief. "Ethan, why do you have them?" "Daniel asked me to bring them." Daniel stepped through the doorway. "I never said that." I stared at him. "What?" He shook his head sadly. "I trusted you." "You're lying." Victoria's face turned pale. "Did you take company information?" "No." "Then explain this." "I already did." Daniel sighed dramatically. "I didn't want this to happen. You set me up." I shouted. Victoria stepped backward. "Stop. Listen to me." I said stop. "I would never steal from you." She looked into my eyes for only a second. Then she whispered, "Security." 2 guards approached. My chest tightened. "Victoria, please. I can't do this anymore. I didn't betray you. I believed you were different." "I am." Tears filled her eyes. "We're finished." The room became silent. Nobody asked for my side. Nobody cared. As the guards escorted me outside, reporters gathered near the entrance. Cameras flashed. Questions flew through the air. "Did you steal company secrets? Were you using Victoria for money? Did your relationship begin as a scam?" I couldn't answer. My voice disappeared with everything else. By sunset, I had lost my job, my reputation, and the woman I loved. The deepest wound wasn't being accused of something I never did. It was realizing that the person I trusted most chose one lie over every truth we had ever shared. I left the city before sunrise. I carried one suitcase, a backpack, and a heart that felt heavier than both. Ryan drove without saying much. After an hour, he finally spoke. So, where now? I don't know. You have to know something. I only know I can't stay. He nodded. Then we'll start somewhere new. You don't have to do this. I know. You're missing work. I'll find another job. I looked at him. Why? Because you're my brother, even if we don't share blood. I couldn't answer. The words caught in my throat. When we reached a small apartment in another town, Ryan tossed me a key. Welcome home. This place is tiny. So are our bank accounts. I laughed for the first time in weeks. Thank you. Don't thank me yet. For what? We're rebuilding your life tomorrow. The next morning Emma called. Did you sleep? A little. Did you eat? Ryan forced me. Good. I smiled. You're both treating me like a child. You've forgotten how to take care of yourself? I'm trying. I know. She paused. Ethan? Yeah. Your value never depended on Victoria believing you. I closed my eyes. It doesn't feel that way. It will. I loved her. I know. I would have forgiven anything if she had just listened. You can't control her choices. I keep wondering what I did wrong. You trusted the wrong person. That isn't a crime. Her words stayed with me long after the call ended. That afternoon, Ryan placed a laptop on the table. Ready? For what? For your future. I don't have one. You do. He opened a spreadsheet. You fixed computers, built networks, and solved software problems for years. So people pay good money for that. I've never owned a business. Then today is your first day. I hesitated. What if I fail? Ryan leaned forward. What if you don't? I stared at the screen. A small spark of hope appeared where nothing had existed for weeks. Okay. He smiled. That's the Ethan I know. We spent hours creating a business name, designing a simple website, and sending emails to local companies. 3 days later, my phone rang. Hello. Is this Ethan Carter? Yes. I saw your consulting services online. Can you help upgrade our office computers? I looked at Ryan. He grinned. I'd be happy to. After the call ended, Ryan raised both hands. Your first client. It doesn't feel real. It is. For the first time since everything collapsed, I believe tomorrow might be different from yesterday. I didn't know that while I struggled to rebuild my future, the lies surrounding my past had already begun falling apart. Somewhere far behind me, hidden truths were slowly finding their voices, and the people who had remained silent for too long were finally preparing to speak. 6 months passed faster than I expected. My little consulting business slowly became a real company. Every successful project reminded me that I could build a future with my own hands. One afternoon, Ryan burst into my office. You won't believe this. What happened? We landed the Harper Industries contract. I blinked. Seriously? He handed me the signed agreement. Read it. I scanned the pages before laughing. We did it. No, Ryan corrected. You did it. We both did. He smiled. I've been waiting to hear you say that. Before I could answer, my phone vibrated. An unknown number. I answered. Hello. A familiar voice whispered. Ethan, it's Olivia. I stood silently. What do you want? I owe you the truth. I'm listening. I found evidence against Daniel. My heartbeat quickened. What evidence? He manipulated every loyalty test. I gripped the phone tighter. Explain. He hired people, planted false situations, and created fake reports. Why? Money. I closed my eyes. He wanted control of Victoria's company. I'm so sorry. Does Victoria know? Not yet. Then tell her. I will. Before hanging up, Olivia added, You never failed her. The line went silent. I stared through my office window for several minutes. Part of me felt relieved. Another part felt strangely empty. The truth had arrived, but it couldn't return the life I had lost. The following evening, Grace called. I finally proved everything. What happened? Daniel transferred company funds into secret accounts. So it's over. Not yet, but it will be soon. Thank you. You deserve someone who believed you. After ending the call, I sat alone. For months I had imagined this moment. I thought proving my innocence would erase the pain. Instead, it simply explained it. 2 days later, my phone rang again. I recognized the number immediately. Victoria. I watched it ring until it stopped. A message arrived seconds later. Ethan, please let me explain. Another message followed. I know the truth. Then another. I was wrong. I placed the phone face down. Ryan entered quietly. Her. I nodded. What are you going to do? Nothing. Are you sure? I spent months begging someone to hear me. He sat across from me. And now she finally wants to listen. He remained silent. I looked at the unopened messages. I don't hate her anymore. That's good. But I can't become the man I was. Later that night, Olivia called once more. Victoria found every letter you ever wrote. I closed my eyes. She kept them, every single one. Olivia's voice trembled. She reads them every night. I said nothing. She cries until morning. My chest tightened despite everything. She says fear made her destroy the only man who ever loved her without asking for anything. I looked around my office. The walls, the certificates, and every success represented the life I had rebuilt from ashes. The woman who remembered me still lived in yesterday. The man holding the phone had already learned how to live without her. I was leaving a client meeting when Ryan stopped beside me. Ethan. What happened? Someone has been waiting outside for 2 hours. Who? He looked toward the parking lot. You already know. My stomach tightened. I followed his gaze. Victoria stood beside a black car, holding a small box against her chest. She looked thinner than I remembered. Dark circles surrounded her eyes. When she saw me, she slowly walked forward. Ethan. I took a deep breath. Hello, Victoria. Thank you for not walking away. I almost did. She nodded. I deserve that. Silence settled between us. Finally, she whispered, Can we talk? I looked at Ryan. He quietly stepped back. I'll be inside. When we were alone, I crossed my arms. You have 5 minutes. She looked down. I've been searching for months. I know. You knew. Olivia called. Victoria closed her eyes. I deserve every cold word you have. I'm not here to punish you. I punish myself. She opened the small box. Inside were folded letters. I recognized my handwriting immediately. You kept them. I kept everything. Her voice cracked. I read them every night. I remained silent. Ethan, I need you to hear one thing. I'm listening. My loyalty tests weren't about you. I frowned. They were about me. She wiped away tears. When I was 16, my father trusted the wrong people. I waited quietly. They stole our company, betrayed my family, and destroyed everything we believed in. She looked at me. After that, I promised myself I'd never become another victim. So you tested everyone. Yes, and me, especially you. I lowered my eyes. I loved you. I know. Then why wasn't that enough? She broke into tears. Because fear was louder than love. Those words stayed between us. I kept asking impossible questions, she continued. I remember. I created fake emergencies. I remember. I offered you money. I remember. I even believed Daniel instead of believing you. Her shoulders shook. My greatest mistake wasn't loving you. She struggled to breathe. It was believing fear more than the man standing in front of me. I watched her cry. Months ago, I would have done anything to stop those tears. Now I simply listened. I'm sorry, she whispered. I know. I don't expect forgiveness. I know. I only wanted you to hear the truth from me. Before I answered, someone approached us. Excuse me. We both turned. A woman carrying a laptop smiled politely. I'm looking for Ethan Carter. That's me. I'm Sophia Bennett. She offered her hand. We're scheduled to discuss the Henderson project. I shook it. Right. She glanced between Victoria and me. Should I come back later? I looked at Victoria. Our conversation is finished. Victoria nodded slowly. I understand. As she walked away, I realized hearing the truth had eased my anger. It had not healed my heart. Some wounds stopped bleeding long before they stopped hurting. Sophia waited until Victoria disappeared before speaking. I hope I didn't interrupt anything important. I smiled faintly. You interrupted perfect timing. She laughed softly. I'll accept that. We entered the conference room. She opened her laptop. I've reviewed your company. Good or bad? Honest. I'll take honest. She nodded. You've built something impressive. Thank you. You also have room to grow. I know. She pointed at the screen. Expand your services before your competitors do. I've been thinking the same thing. Then stop thinking. I laughed. You don't waste words. Neither should a business owner. Our meeting lasted 2 hours. By the end, I respected her because she challenged my ideas without trying to control me. As she packed her bag, she smiled. I hope we work together again. I'd like that. The following week, Ryan introduced me to an older entrepreneur. Ethan, this is Michael Lawson. Michael shook my hand firmly. I've heard good things. I hope they're true. They are. We sat together after lunch. Michael leaned back. Can I give you one piece of advice? I'm listening. Never build relationships the way people build security systems. I frowned. What do you mean? If you test people every day, eventually they'll stop knocking on your door. His words reminded me of Victoria. He continued, trust is a choice, not a test. I nodded slowly. I'll remember that. A few days later, Olivia called again. Victoria's company is struggling. What happened? Investors lost confidence after Daniel's fraud became public. Is she okay? She worked 16 hours a day trying to save everything. I stayed quiet. Olivia sighed. She told me something yesterday. What? She said money can rebuild buildings, but it can't rebuild broken hearts. I looked out my office window. She finally understands. Yes, but understanding came too late. That evening, Victoria sent one final message. I don't want another chance. I only want you to know I accept every consequence. I read the message twice before putting my phone away. Ryan noticed. Her again? Yes. What are you feeling? I thought carefully before answering. I don't want revenge. What do you want? Peace. He smiled. I think you've finally found it. Maybe he was right. I had spent months carrying anger because I believed it protected me. Now I understood something different. Forgiveness wasn't surrender. It was freedom. But forgiving someone didn't mean reopening the door they had closed themselves. I could respect Victoria's honesty. I could believe every apology she offered. I could even wish for her happiness. None of those things required me to return to the life I had already survived. As I locked my office that night, I realized the hardest decision wasn't forgiving the woman who had broken my heart. The hardest decision was protecting the quiet, honest life I had fought so hard to rebuild after losing everything.